Seth Rollins didn't just cross a line last time, he obliterated it. And the real question right now is this: is Paul Heyman about to get attacked again? Because if you watched what happened the last time these two shared the same space, you know one thing for sure. Seth Rollins isn't done. Not even close. And if you think the chaos is over, you might be completely wrong. But before we break down what could happen next, I want to ask you something real quick. Do you think Seth Rollins should attack Paul Heyman again? Yes or no? Drop your answer in the comments right now. Because what's brewing behind the scenes could explode in the most shocking way WWE fans have seen in years. The last time Seth Rollins targeted Paul Heyman, it wasn't just a random moment of aggression. It felt personal, calculated, cold. Rollins didn't just want to hurt Heyman physically. He wanted to send a message. A brutal one. And if you know Seth Rollins' history in WWE, you know that when he sends a message, he makes sure the entire world hears it. But here's where things get interesting. Paul Heyman is not just any manager. He's the most powerful voice in WWE history. He's been the mastermind behind some of the most dominant superstars the industry has ever seen. He has guided champions, created monsters, and manipulated situations that changed the entire landscape of WWE. Which makes one thing very clear. If Seth Rollins is targeting Paul Heyman, he's not just attacking a man. He's attacking power itself. And that is dangerous territory. Let's rewind for a moment. Because this story didn't start overnight. For years, Seth Rollins has had a complicated relationship with power in WWE. Sometimes he chased it. Sometimes he held it. And sometimes he destroyed it. But when Paul Heyman becomes involved in your business, things tend to spiral quickly. Heyman doesn't fight with fists. He fights with influence, with manipulation, with strategy. And if Rollins believes Heyman is pulling strings behind the scenes, then this rivalry could turn into something far more chaotic than anyone expects. Think about it. Why would Seth Rollins go after Paul Heyman so aggressively? What does he gain from attacking someone who isn't even an active competitor? Unless Rollins believes Heyman is the real enemy. Here's another question for you. Do you think Paul Heyman is secretly manipulating the situation behind the scenes? Type yes if you think he is. Type no if Seth Rollins is just losing control. I'm really curious what you guys think. Because WWE history has taught us one thing. Never underestimate Paul Heyman. Now imagine this scenario. Monday Night Raw. Paul Heyman walks down to the ring, microphone in hand, wearing that confident smirk we've all seen 1,000 times. He starts talking. Calm, calculated, arrogant. He talks about power, legacy, dominance. And then suddenly, the lights go dark. For a split second, the arena goes silent. Then you hear it. That unmistakable laugh. The crowd erupts. Because everyone knows exactly who's coming. Seth freaking Rollins. And the energy in the arena instantly changes. Because the last time these two crossed paths, it ended in absolute chaos. Security couldn't stop it. Officials couldn't stop it. And if it happens again, things could get even worse. But here's the part that should make every WWE fan nervous. Seth Rollins has been evolving lately. He's more unpredictable than ever. More aggressive. More emotional. And when Seth Rollins becomes unpredictable, history shows that anything can happen. Remember when Rollins betrayed the Shield? Remember when he cashed in Money in the Bank in the most shocking WrestleMania moment ever? Remember when he snapped and turned into one of the most dangerous men on the roster? Rollins thrives in chaos. And right now, chaos is exactly what surrounds Paul Heyman. Let me ask you something else. If Seth Rollins attacks Paul Heyman again, should WWE suspend him? Or should they let the chaos continue? Comment suspend him, or let it happen. Because WWE officials might soon have to make that exact decision. And it won't be easy. Here's another angle people aren't talking about enough. Paul Heyman always has a plan. Always. He rarely walks into danger without a backup strategy. So if Seth Rollins attacks him again, what if Heyman wants it to happen? What if this entire situation is part of a bigger trap? Because Heyman has built his career on doing one thing better than anyone else. Turning chaos into opportunity. If Rollins loses control again, Heyman could manipulate the situation to his advantage. Maybe get Rollins suspended. Maybe turn the locker room against him. Maybe even unleash someone far more dangerous to deal with him. And that possibility should make everyone pay attention. But here's where things get truly explosive. If Seth Rollins is willing to attack Paul Heyman, who else might he target next? Because when someone crosses that line in WWE, it rarely stops with just one person. What if Rollins is sending a warning? Not just to Heyman, but to everyone connected to him. Anyone aligned with Heyman could suddenly find themselves in Rollins' crosshairs. And if that happens, this story could spiral into a full-blown war. Picture the scene again. Paul Heyman standing in the ring, trying to keep his composure. But the crowd is chanting Rollins' name louder and louder. Heyman looks toward the entrance ramp. Nothing happens. He tries to continue speaking, but the tension in the arena keeps building. Then suddenly, a blur rushes through the crowd. Seth Rollins appears out of nowhere. No entrance music. No warning. Just pure chaos. And before security can react, Rollins is already in the ring. Heyman tries to escape, but Rollins blocks the exit. The crowd is losing their minds. Officials sprint down the ramp, but it's too late. Rollins grabs Heyman, and the arena erupts. Now imagine the aftermath. WWE management scrambling. Superstars in the locker room reacting. Fans exploding across social media. Clips going viral everywhere. And the big question dominating the conversation. Has Seth Rollins gone too far? Or is Paul Heyman finally getting what he deserves? Here's something you might not have thought about. Paul Heyman has made a lot of enemies over the years. A lot. Superstars he manipulated. Allies he abandoned. Careers he controlled. So if Seth Rollins is targeting Heyman, he might not be alone in how he feels. There could be other superstars watching closely. Waiting. And if Rollins cracks the door open, someone else might walk through it. Because power shifts quickly in WWE. And when someone like Paul Heyman looks vulnerable, the sharks start circling. Let's do another quick comment check. If Seth Rollins attacked Paul Heyman tonight, what would your reaction be? Type insane if you'd love it. Or type too far if you think it crosses the line. Your answers might surprise a lot of people. Now, let's talk about the psychology of Seth Rollins for a second. Because this isn't just about violence. It's about pride. Rollins has always believed he is the architect of his own destiny. The mastermind. The visionary. But Paul Heyman is someone who prides himself on being the ultimate strategist. And when two masterminds collide, someone's ego eventually explodes. Rollins might see Heyman as someone trying to control the narrative. Trying to manipulate the future of WWE. And Seth Rollins? He refuses to be anyone's pawn. That alone could be enough reason for him to strike again. But there's also a darker possibility. What if Rollins wants Heyman afraid? Not injured. Afraid. Because fear is a powerful weapon. If Paul Heyman starts looking over his shoulder every week, if he starts wondering whether Rollins might appear at any moment, that psychological pressure could completely change how Heyman operates. And Seth Rollins knows exactly how powerful that kind of mind game can be. Another quick question for you guys. Who wins the mind games, Seth Rollins or Paul Heyman? Type Rollins or Heyman. Let's see where the Ring Rumble community stands. The truth is, we may be witnessing the beginning of something much bigger. Because moments like this in WWE history often lead to massive turning points. Sometimes they create legendary rivalries. Sometimes they spark faction wars. Sometimes they completely reshape the power structure of the company. And if Seth Rollins continues targeting Paul Heyman, we could be looking at one of those moments right now. Imagine the tension building week after week. Heyman constantly trying to outsmart Rollins. Rollins constantly trying to corner Heyman. Security increasing. Backstage confrontations escalating. And every time the two are near each other, the entire arena holding its breath. Because nobody knows what will happen next. One final question before we wrap this up. And this one might be the biggest of all. Is Seth Rollins becoming the villain in this story, or the hero? Type villain or hero in the comments. Because depending on how this plays out, fans could start seeing Rollins in a completely different light. What we do know is this. Seth Rollins is unpredictable. Paul Heyman is dangerous. And when those two forces collide, something explosive is bound to happen. The question isn't if things will escalate again. The question is when. And when that moment comes, the entire WWE universe will be watching, waiting, holding their breath. Because Seth Rollins might just unleash another attack on Paul Heyman. And if he does, the fallout could shake WWE to its core. So stay ready, because this story is far from over. And the next chapter might be the most shocking one yet.